What's going on, Two Knicks Chicks family? It's been a long time. I feel like I haven't been on as much, but I feel like it's because it's summer. Um, NBA season just wrapped up. Finals just happened, and the Knicks are on a break right now. But a lots are going to be happening as the draft is happening next week. No, tomorrow. The draft is happening at Barclays Center. Interesting to see what the Knicks do. Are they going to capitalize and use their draft picks? I've been seeing some news inquiries saying that the Knicks are planning on using their draft picks. We'll see. I hope so. The Knicks have plenty. I hope they do the right thing. I hope they're aggressive in who they acquire. Um, and yeah, I'm curious to see what happens as far as the Knicks and their movement in the off season. I will be staying tuned and will be following the draft. But until then, that happens. We're here to talk about New York Liberty. I'm rolling solo today as Diva Locks can't join us, but that's okay because we have a lot to catch up on as the New York Liberty have been red hot this month of June and actually since the start of the season, to be honest. So the Liberty will be playing tonight in a Commissioner's Cup game. For those of you who do not know, the Commissioner's Cup is pretty much the WNBA's version of an in-season tournament. So the Liberty actually will be playing. Um, if those of you who watched the last episode know, I went on a rant about the Liberty not playing actually at home, which is Barclays Center, due to the fact that the draft is happening in the same arena. The workers who uh, work the arena won't have enough time to transform the arena from the New York Liberty court to the draft court, which is crazy. So someone definitely messed up there. But nonetheless, the game will be happening at UBS Arena out in Long Island. I'm going to touch on that because I wanted to talk about some comments on that itself. But we are going to get to the New York Liberty because I do want to talk about what this team has been doing so far this season, and where they pretty much are heading and where they're going and how important is tonight's game on its own, right? So let's start with the last few games. The Liberty beat the LA Sparks. They played them on a back-to-back. So they beat them Thursday on the 20th, 93-80. Solid game. Then they ran it back, beat them again on Saturday on the 22nd, 98-88. Diva Locks and I had the chance to be in the building for that game. The energy was very high. The Liberty were playing like they won a few championships already under their belt. That's the way that they're locked in right now and how they're playing. So, just to be able to witness, it's one thing when you watch your favorite team, sports team on TV, but to watch them live, have beautifully cold seats. We're looking to purchase more tickets to games, so we want to support them. And honestly, the way this team is playing, they're playing like they won the championship last year, but they're playing also like they have a chip on their shoulder and they're looking to claim the title this year. And I'm loving the way this team is locked in, they're focused, they're getting the job done, right? Then the Liberty played on Sunday. They played Atlanta, who they've already beat prior to Sunday's game. And they pretty much, Atlanta had no answer for the Liberty. They beat them 96-75. That win against Atlanta put the Liberty in first place at 15-3 is their record. It really would be 15-2, but the Liberty played Phoenix and the referees in that game were awful, god awful. And honestly, some of the referees, even in the game that we went to on Saturday, just too many like ticky-tack fouls that are being called in the game. And I don't know if the refs realize like the women of the WNBA play just as physical as men play basketball. Like the fouls every 2 seconds is just enough. I'm tired of seeing it. It's very annoying when a team is trying to get into their rhythm and you're stopping the flow of the game because you're whistle heavy. So nonetheless, that win on Sunday against Atlanta, actually, and that game was on the road, put the Liberty at 15-3. They're now sitting at first place in the Eastern Conference in the WNBA. Moving on to some Liberty news, Sabrina Ionescu was named the Eastern Conference Player of the Week. She was averaging 25 points per game, 9.3 assists per game, 4.5 rebounds per game. She was shooting 47.3% from field goal, 41.9% from the three-point line, and 100% free throws. So she ain't missed a free throw yet. I do want to point out that her averaging at 25 points per game, her 9.3 assists per game, she's first in the league. I think I also want to add, this is not in my reportings, but Sabrina Ionescu has added repertoire to her game. Her ability to drive to the basket, her ability to drive to the basket and score, but also her ability to, she's added a floater to her game. And that's crucial, and that's really huge for this team because prior to this year, she was just relying on the three. And you saw her drive, but it just needed some tweaks and cleaning up. It wasn't the best. She was getting blocked a lot. But the fact that she's able to drive to the basket and she's doing it so confident, and she's not relying on shooting those Steph Curry far three-point shots, which she can still knock them down, that puts pressure on the defense to now have to actually guard Sabrina. And also it's allowing her to throw whatever inside passes she wants to throw, right? She's able to kick off a nice pass to Jonquel Jones. She's able to kick off a nice pass to Breanna Stewart. And it's working because teams are just so used to her shooting a three. Now that she's added this next new level to her game to be able to drive, take the contact, get the and one, stop the clock, get to the free throw line, it just adds layers to this Liberty team. And that's what makes this team play so great, is the fact that they have several players on the team who could shoot, whether it's a mid-range, shoot the three-point shot, several players who can knock down free throws, several players who could grab rebounds as well. And this Liberty team plays defense. They play together. They play excellent defense. They know how to run. I mean, when they're playing at a fast pace, it's very hard for teams to come at them and back into the game. But I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing from this team and how they're playing unselfish basketball. They're making the extra pass when needed. There's help on the rebounding end. And just the fact that everybody's flowing with each other. And I think them getting as far as they did last season and then being able to come back this year, run it back with maybe one or two tweaks. You see an addition of Dorkic to the team. Leonie Febesh is on the team, who I really like. She's tall. She's 6'4". If I'm not mistaken, she's 6'4". She has a long wingspan like Breanna Stewart. She can shoot the three. She can drive to the basket. She's been a lot more aggressive lately. And I think between her, Kennedy Burke, who I really like, she doesn't get talked about enough, but when she gets in a game, she does the little things that are not going to really be on a highlight play, but they matter. They matter. And those are the kind of players you need on the team. Those who sacrifice their body, those who save balls about to go out bounds and out of bounds and things like that. So she's also able, I've watched her come in a game and she'll just drive to the basket. Nobody's watching her. I don't know why they're not respecting the fact that there's players on this Liberty team that could do that, but I love how this team is very aggressive. They're not relying on just Jonquel Jones, Breanna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu. You don't need to rely on those players. When other people could get involved and know their role and come in and do their job, it makes it easier. And on top of that, they're having fun. That's what makes it even greater, is the fact that this team is having fun. It looks great to see them. Like being in the building on Saturday, they're just like, they're having fun. They're not being cocky. They're having fun, but they're getting the job done at the same time, right? And I'm loving what I'm seeing so far from this team. Now, the Liberty play tonight is the Commissioner's Cup game. There's a lot of money on the line, $500,000. Plus, I believe there's money that also goes to an organization of either team, Minnesota, the New York Liberty's choice. The game will be played at UBS Arena. Quick recap. As I kind of went into the Liberty basically went 5-0, right, to qualify for the Commissioner's Cup. So they went perfect, 5-0. They played those 5 games in 8 days. Keep in mind, 2 of those games were back to back. So they played the Connecticut Sun on June 8th, beat them. And then they played the Washington Mystics on June 9th, beat them as well. Also, I want to point out the New York Liberty schedule was a lot tougher than Minnesota's. Minnesota was actually able to get a 2-day break. Plus, it was something else that they had where their schedule was a little bit more, it was less intense compared to the New York Liberty schedule, which has been quite brutal so far at the top of the season. But that says a lot about this team. We're not using excuses. They're coming out there and getting the job done, right? But let's rewind to the first matchup. New York played Minnesota in Minnesota. The Liberty had no answer for the Lynx. I didn't think that overall that was the Liberty's best played game, to be honest. I thought the Liberty didn't play at their pace. They were a step too slow. Shots weren't going down. I felt like they were relying a little bit too much on the shots. Defense could have been stronger. Nafisa from the Lynx, Collier, you got to guard her. Now, here's the great thing about tonight's matchup is that Minnesota, they're playing just as great as the Liberty. They're living up to the expectations that they were expected to play at, right? So I actually was looking this up because I wanted to bring this up about Minnesota themselves, who honestly, they're one of my top 4, I believe, or 5 teams. I believe it's 4 teams that I have that are my projection of who's going to make the finals against the Liberties, right, for the championship team. So Minnesota. So Minnesota, 1, they're not a great rebounding team. That's for one. They're 10th in rebounding, which, Liberty could take advantage of that and grab the boards that they need to grab. But the Liberty have had their pros as well. Let me get this right before I mix up the stats. So in the month of June, this month, Minnesota is only allowing 88.9 points per 100 possessions. They also force a high amount of turnovers per game. They're second in the league. And they don't commit a lot of fouls. They don't commit a lot of fouls. I think with the Liberty, they're going to have to be careful for this team. The first matchup, Nafisa Collier had 15 points, 12 rebounds. She had four assists, two blocks, 2 steals. She filled up the stat sheet, and no one had an answer for her. And that wasn't even her best game because she really could score 30 plus points a game. She's done it numerous times this year. She's scoring 20, 25, 30 plus points a game. So if she did that the first matchup and we didn't have an answer for her, the Liberty have to figure out a way to keep her from going off. Because who knows, she may just start getting hot. So I think Breanna Stewart's going to be guarding her in that right. But I went off on the last episode about the Liberty not being able to play at Barclays, considering the Liberty went perfect, a 5-0 to qualify not only for the Commissioner's Cup championship game, but they won home court advantage. And the fact that the home court advantage was taken away from them because someone messed up and didn't pay attention to the fact that the NBA draft is held on the 26th, it's inexcusable, to be honest. That cannot happen again next year. And I just don't think that that's fair to a team who's been working so hard and you make them play in a different arena. That's not home court advantage. I don't care if it's still in New York. That's not their home court. So the WNBA, like I said on the last podcast, they have to do better. I can't blame the New York Liberty because that wasn't them. But then again, maybe somebody from the Liberty should have caught this, as the NBA draft happens at the same time every year. And, Diva Locks had pointed this out. So no one within the WNBA had the bright idea to say, well, maybe we should just move it to a different day so that the Liberty can play at Barclays Center. But no, that was still pushed to the side. And who knows if that was even a thought, right? I'm not saying no one didn't think of that, but I just think that we have to do better. Jonquel Jones of the New York Liberty said on Today, she said, to me, it feels like a road game. Having to pack my outfits in a suitcase and all that stuff and then get on the bus. She's not lying. Why the hell do they got to pack their stuff in a suitcase to go get on a bus to go to Long Island to go play a game? And I saw someone make a comment under the New York Liberty post on IG, and a person said, you all are a bunch of crybabies because true fans will follow wherever the team is playing. They're not wrong. True fans will follow them. But I also don't think it's right to have to make a season ticket holder, or hell, someone who it could have been their first game experience at a WNBA game, have to now, okay, sure, they're offering free shuttle buses, but now you got to go trek to Long Island, to somewhere else. It's the inconvenience of making people do that. Also, it's a Tuesday night. Some people actually do have jobs that they have to get to in the morning. They got kids. So I think that the bigger picture to some people was missed, right? But nonetheless, the game is going to be at UBS Arena. I'm not happy about it. I know a lot of the Liberty fans are not happy about it. Jonquel Jones said that she's annoyed. I know Brianna Stewart had chimed in and, said that she wasn't happy with the decision. She said she's frustrated. She said, I think we worked really hard for home court advantage, and it was nice. And it would be nice if our home court was actually available before we choose the date that the event was going to be. Is she lying? Like, again, someone did not pay attention. As someone, the NBA draft happens the same time every year, same day every year, the same venue every year. It's happened at Barclays. I mean, it's one thing to make, like, I don't know, a minute mistake, right? Maybe the stitching or a lettering is off on a player's jersey. Still wrong. But like an in-season tournament championship game, let's do better. We know better. Let's do better. Whoever's job that is, you're getting paid. Like, that's your job to watch the scheduling. And if not, find somebody who can get it right. And I hope that they get it right for next year. Whether it was the Liberty playing in the championship or not, it's just inexcusable you don't do that. So, nonetheless, Liberty went 5-0, qualified, didn't lose, home court advantage, instantly got into the Commissioner's Cup. Minnesota finished 4-1. They played 5 games in 8 days, but they did so without a back-to-back, unlike the Liberty had a lot of back-to-back games. The Lynx also had a 2-day rest between the first 2 Commissioner Cups games. And the Liberty didn't have more than one game of rest in a qualifying round. So, you know, this is what I mean. But the Liberty are not using any excuses. They're here to get the job done and get the win, get the cup, and keep the momentum going throughout the regular season because there's still a lot of games left to play within this game. ESPN had an article about power rankings in the WNBA, and they actually had Minnesota because they went 3-0 last week. Um, they gave them the number one spot. The Lynx went 8-1 so far this month. Their only loss came against Phoenix, and that was because they lost to a last-second buzzer beater shot um, in that game. I actually did see the highlights of that game. Otherwise, than that, they would have won. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not downplaying the Minnesota Lynx. I've watched several of their games. They're very good. They're very good. They're I think for them also their mind is also not just on winning, but they want the money, as the New York Liberty players do as well. But listen, they're hungry for the Commissioner's Cup championship just like the Liberty are. They have ESPN has the New York Liberty at number 2. So technically the New York Liberty are number 1. They're the number 1 team in the WNBA right now at 15-3. But ESPN's list of power rankings, WNBA power ranked teams, their list has Minnesota at number 1, and they have the New York Liberty at number 2. And they only dropped the Liberty to 2 because the Liberty lost to Phoenix as well. I wasn't happy with the officiating of that game. I don't know where they find these referees at, but just not a good game. But listen, the Liberty bounced right back. They beat the Los Angeles Sparks on a back-to-back, which LA played in New York twice back-to-back. I would have thought like one game, but I guess the flying back and forth is a lot. And then they beat Atlanta in Atlanta. Atlanta had no answer for the Liberty. So listen, the Liberty won the Commissioner's Cups last year. They beat the Las Vegas Aces in the Commissioner's Cup game. That was a great matchup. The Liberty were just on it, spot on, great win. So they're looking to run it back and win the Commissioner's Cup this year. They will be doing it without, I don't think Benijah Laney Hamilton is going to be playing. She's still out with her knee. I don't know what happened to Laney's knee because the last couple of games she's been sitting on the bench with heels on. So her knee ain't cracked in half. It's just maybe she bumped it. I'm not sure. Courtney Vandersloot, she's actually back on the bench. So sending condolences to her and her family. She did lose her mom. But I did see her, I believe the last 2 games she was there against the second matchup against LA. And then I saw her on the bench when they were playing against Atlanta. She was in street clothes, not in a uniform yet, but I don't think they're going to be rushing her back, as you know, she's still grieving. So I guess when she's ready, she'll come back and play. But Sabrina Ionescu's been playing a point, and she's been holding it down. And then they have the other girl, Dojkic, who's been playing the point as well, which I would like to see her be a little bit more aggressive with the shot making and selections that she's going to do. But nonetheless, they've been holding it down as far as the way they've been playing. I just need the Liberty to come out with a high intensity, high energy tonight. They can't afford to start slow. They haven't been starting slow, but they've had those 1 or 2 games where they've had a slow start. But they're going to have to be locked in defensively. This Minnesota Lynx team can shoot lights out from behind the perimeter. They're a great 3-point shooting team. They have a lot of great shooters. It's also Kayla McBride's birthday on Minnesota So I know she's going to try to get a birthday win. I did see an article about her saying that it would be nice to win on her birthday. Um, and I think that this Liberty team has to be able to establish a nice lead. I really don't want this game to be a back and forth battle. First of all, y'all already know when the Knicks do it, it gets my nerves all rattled. And I really hate when the Liberty do it as well. It's very nerve wracking to watch a game. While it's exciting, but I just don't like when it's so close back, especially when it's late in the fourth. Like if you could, most of the game is like that, and then the team pulls away, great. Now, I will point out this New York Liberty are a great first quarter team as well as an excellent fourth quarter team. So they close games really well. But they have to play smart, execute well, limit the turnovers. Like, seriously, limit the turnovers because I feel like the last few games have been too many turnovers. Watch the passes, I just said. And, I think that don't I don't want to see them overrush or go too fast and they're not playing their style of ball or how they like to play. Like play your game, but you gotta defend Minnesota. Minnesota's one of the top. I don't know if they're number one. I think they are number one in defensive rating. So they do an excellent job on the defensive end in the way they play defense. But nonetheless, this New York Liberty team are gonna have to come out, be super aggressive, want it more. I think they should also take out some of this frustration that they have with not being able to play at Barclays and take it out on Minnesota. I think a lot of I don't want to say a lot, but certain key players on the Liberty can't afford to get in foul trouble. Jonquel Jones is one of them. I think the Liberty also need to be prepared if Jonquel Jones is getting double teamed. What are your other options and who's going to step up and score? Because there's been at least two, maybe three teams so far that the Liberty have matched up with, and they're double teaming her. And it takes her out of the game. Sometimes the referees don't have a friendly whistle in New York's favor. And Jonquel Jones unfortunately gets in foul trouble. So, and some of the fouls are not necessarily on her. It's just horrible refereeing with like a very loose whistle, and it's very frustrating to watch. But this team has to come out super aggressive, get a quick start if they can, capitalize on some steals if they can, knock down your free throws. One thing I love about Sandy Brondello, who's the coach of the New York Liberty, she doesn't really allow leads to get anything past 6. I, I don't even think she allows it to even get to 7. If it gets like the Liberty are down by 6, she's calling a timeout. She likes to regroup. And then usually when they come from that timeout, they score immediately, get out into play, which is I love to see. Now, I don't want to see them use a challenge too early in the game because unfortunately you get one and then you lose a timeout. And that happened to us when we lost against Phoenix. We challenged too early, which I mean, y'all got a jumbotron, but I'm watching on a pretty big TV in my place. And I didn't think that that was worth a challenge. The play specifically that they used the challenge on, it just wasn't a good challenge. So now when they needed it at the end of the game, they couldn't even use it. And then in the post game, she said, yeah, I didn't think that we should have used it. So then why did you use it? So please don't do that tonight. Do not use your challenge too early if you don't need it, unless it's something real crazy. Otherwise than that, I don't want to see the Liberty utilize their challenge play too early in the game. Use it and make it count when you use it. Otherwise than that, it's not worth losing a timeout that you may need late in the game. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Liberty winning this game. I want to see them not only just win this game, but I want to see them win it so they can get that extra cash, right? I think this also helps them carry the momentum that they're a very serious team and you have to play them well and guard them well. Cheryl Reeves, who's the coach of Minnesota, is a great coach. And, she's won championships just like Sandy Brondello has. So they're well coached. This is not like a little jokey joke, that they're very well coached and they play well. And they're going to come out and try to, I think also right now teams in the league are looking to disrupt the Liberty's flow. They see that the Liberty are playing really well and teams are looking to, you know, give them their first loss, or not their first loss, give them another loss in this league. So you have a lot of teams who are looking to do that and knock the Liberty down and prevent them from, you know, being able to continue to win. So this Liberty team, I think they have a chip on their shoulder. They have something to prove. I actually am very comfortable, and I said this the last episode, I'm very comfortable with them not necessarily being like, you know, let them keep talking about Chicago and Angel Reese. Let the sports media world keep talking about Caitlin Clark. And you know, I mean, if Cameron Brink wasn't hurt, they would be talking about her too. It's unfortunate because they don't talk about Cameron Brink and Rakia Jackson, both who played for the LA Sparks, enough. And that's actually why I had got tickets to that game, because I really wanted to see both Cameron Brink and Rakia Jackson play. Rakia Jackson was taken out of her game. Kayla Thornton was playing that defense on her like white on rice, so she couldn't have her way. She's still a great player, but that was just a rookie having to work on their moves against someone who's been in the league a lot longer than them. But yeah, let the sports media world keep talking about Caitlin Clark. And I'm not gonna lie, like the numbers that Caitlin Clark brings is great. You know, the views that I'm seeing on the videos that are posted under the WNBA website, WNBA's YouTube channel, they're very high. You know, they're very high. We're talking well over 100,000 views. And plus, I saw one, I think it was at 450,000 views. So she does bring a different dynamic. I don't know. Me personally, I'm not rushing to get a ticket to go see them play against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. I think she's a good player, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not seeing the hype, but good for her. But there's other great players in this league who are rookies who came in. The draft class that just came in was a strong draft class, right? So I think the Liberty just need to keep playing as they're playing, continue the momentum that they are bringing, and listen, they'll be in that championship before we know it. But tonight, I'm looking forward to them winning the Commissioner's Cup game and then continuing. They have a break up until, I believe, next Saturday. They don't play again, if I'm not mistaken. They play, no, excuse me, they don't play again until Sunday. They play Atlanta. So they have a nice little break after today's game, which is definitely, they need it. They've been playing back to back like crazy. So, you know, I'll see what happens and what this Liberty team does. You know, I'll be watching. Salute to Corey Lee and the 718 boys. Peace and salute, young lady. Nice to see you. Same to you, Corey. Hit that like button, y'all. Subscribe to the channel. Those of you who are new here or you're just dropping in, definitely show some love. You know, we definitely get a lot more views when we talk about the Knicks, but those of you who don't know the WNBA or just got on because of Caitlin Clark, check us out. We can put you on to who's doing what. And we don't just know the New York Liberty. Like, we know the league like how we do the NBA, right? So tune into us so you can learn more about this New York Liberty team and what's happening throughout the league and who's doing what in the league. I think it's very entertaining, and I encourage you all to go and check out a game. I promise you it's to the level of what you would get at a New York Knicks game. Literally, like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, the energy in the building, we were joking because we was like, the Brooklyn Nets could never, because they're losers. You know, they don't win games. So the Liberty actually bring that hype, that energy, that which the owners, the husband and wife that own the Brooklyn Nets also own the Liberty. But, you know, it's a difference when you have a team that's winning. It's very encouraging, and it was a lot of first timers there. I mean, people who was like, this is my first game, but this was so much fun. And I even met someone who told me he's a Nets fan, New York, yeah, Nets fan. And, he was like, they don't win, so it's not like this at the arena. It's just, they cheering. He said, but it only really gets real high energy when they're playing against the Knicks, as their, hometown next door rivals. But he was like, it's nowhere near. I'm like, yeah, because they don't win games. So if you want to see high energy, good vibes at a game, you're either a Knicks fan and you go to a Knicks game, or you go to a New York Liberty game. And I promise you, you're going to have a great time. It's just great game to watch. And, it's just high intensity overall. And it's a lot of fun. Salute to Wonder Woman. Good evening, everyone. AP, salute. That's a bad job by Brooklyn Joe. He should have asked James Dolan for an emergency courtesy. Yeah, they weren't going to do that, unfortunately. And I agree. I think that, again, like I said, someone did mess up. Um, and I just think that this cannot happen again next year. Because technically, if I recall correctly, the WNBA's Commissioner's Cup, they didn't do it this early in the season. So it makes me wonder, well, whose bright idea was it to have it the end of June? Like, again, the NBA draft happens every year at the end of June. So why wouldn't you just, I don't know, say, well, let's do it in late July, or you know what I mean? Like, let's do it sometime early August and make the, so that way you can have it at Barclays. And I understand Barclays, like Madison Square Garden, there's concerts that happen there, so you're not just figuring out a WNBA schedule, you're figuring a schedule around other events that are happening at Barclays. I get it. But the fact that that the NBA has the draft the same time of year and at the same venue, someone overlooked that and didn't wasn't paying attention. When the Liberty are not on, I watch the Fever. Yeah, most people do. Most people do. But here's my thing for me why I don't watch the Fever. It has nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. She's actually the most exciting part of the team and why I watch, as most people do. For me personally, they're just not that great of a team. So it's not as exciting. Like, I find if you watch other teams in a league, like Minnesota's a great team to watch. Seattle's a great team to watch. High energy. Connecticut, who's our rival. So, it's kind of like how you got the Knicks and the Nets. Connecticut's like that rival team for the Liberty. I don't really like Connecticut, but I like to watch them. I don't like them when we have to face them, right? But yeah, I don't know. I can't really get into the Indiana Fever games. Like, I've tried to watch them and I'm like, And, I may tune in and I'm watching, but I probably won't watch the full thing, just because to me, it's almost like watching the Washington Mystics, like, who's only won, I think, like 3 games. And I think Indiana's won, what, maybe 8 games now, 7, 8 games. They finally have started to find their mojo together. But it's just not really my thing to really watch. Like, again, I support the whole WNBA, but they're just not as exciting to watch for me. It's just a little, like, I don't know. I'm looking for a little bit more to happen and throughout the game. But yeah, of course, when they play the Liberty, I'm watching them. I also like to watch teams play against Indiana, because I like to see how Caitlin Clark is doing in the league so far as a rookie. And I think Gino Auriemma said it best. She needs to hit the weight room. She needs to bulk up and get stronger, because she's quite weak and she's getting flown around, like a rag doll out there. And, a lot of these women that play, they're very strong. They work out, they hit the weights, they have personal trainers. And Caitlin just looks really lanky out there. She looks like she needs to definitely get stronger. She needs to get stronger. And I'm also tired of the whole comparison of Sabrina Ionescu and Caitlin Clark. Like, I think that's what makes it, like, a little frustrating from that standpoint. People making this whole division amongst players and comparing, and you see content creators who have these podcasts and they'll be talking about a team, and I'll see people make a comment or on the live, and they're like, well, what happened to Caitlin Clark, or why you didn't talk about her? And I'm like, the league doesn't revolve around one player. There are so many other women that play in this league who are just as great, if not better. So I think there's that part of it, but it is what it is. Are you covering the draft tomorrow? I'm not covering the draft tomorrow, but I will be watching it. I'm actually keeping up. I was looking online today, also looking at Twitter, seeing that the Knicks are looking to use their 25th, what is it, 24th, 25th pick, or 25th, 26th pick? I think it's 24th, 25th pick. Listen, the Knicks have a lot of draft picks, and I hope that they utilize them well. Not just utilize them, but utilize them well. There's also been a lot of trade rumors about the Knicks possibly potentially trying to get rid of Mitchell Robinson and trade Mitchell Robinson. Those of you who are strong Mitchell Robinson fans, I think that that may be a little bit crushing for some true Mitchell Robinson fans. Here's the thing with Mitchell Robinson. I think Mitch is needed on this team, but I think what this team doesn't need is a player who suffers an injury every season. And this has been 4 years now, right? Now, some of you who've been in the chat before have also said this about OG Anunoby and have said, well, I don't think the Knicks should pay him what he's looking to get paid because he stays injured. I agree. And this is not even, but the Knicks front office knew this about OG Anunoby, right? They knew he was injury prone when he was on the Raptors, but they still decided to bring him over. But I think sometimes a player's value and what they do on the court sometimes outweighs those injuries, right? It's just unfortunate that he suffers those. Do I think the Knicks are going to sign OG? I think it would be in their best interest to sign him unless they are able to get another player who they can sign for a better deal and who's actually can produce more, can give you more, whose game is better than OG Anunoby. So, it's the same thing with the whole Mitchell Robinson deal. Like Diva Locks is like, I think that if they do look to trade Mitch, it's probably because they're probably going to try to sign Isaiah Hartenstein. My only thing is that, okay, if you trade Mitch, who do you have as a backup for Isaiah Hartenstein? Because if, God forbid, he suffers an injury, not even just an injury, he's going to need to be able to sit down for a couple of minutes. And Jericho Sims is not the answer. He's another one I think that the Knicks either need to part ways or send him to the G League, Summer League, whatever other league they have besides the NBA. He needs to go to another league and develop his game. Mitchell Robinson is not very offensive strong, but he's a lot more aggressive than what you would get from Jericho Sims. So, I was hoping that Jericho Sims, he's kind of like, it's given the same story like we saw, just not as many minutes like Grimes. I thought, okay, maybe give him some time because I know people in the chat was like, give him some time, let him develop his game. We didn't see that from Grimes. And people have said that about Jericho Sims, who I don't think he's horrible, but I just don't think that he's a fit for this New York Knicks team. And I think the Knicks need to part ways, right? A lot of you have said you want to see the Knicks run it back. I don't disagree with you. I think the Knicks should run it back, but you need to make 1 or 2, maybe 3 tweaks. And that's what this New York Liberty team has done. They pretty much brought everyone back minus 3 players who they brought in and tweaked to make this team what it is now. And listen, that worked. So I think with the with the New York Knicks, there's a lot to the drafts. September, you got to reevaluate Randall. Are they going to sign Isaiah Hartenstein? Are they going to pay OG Anunoby? It's so many different moving parts. I think right now we need to focus on what do they do in the draft tomorrow? Who do the Knicks go after? Like, what kind of how aggressive is this Knicks organization going to be? I think is really what I'm looking at, as well as most fans are going to be looking at. And I hope that they play their cards right as they have been, right? I also think that like someone has said this in the I don't know if it was Coach Star, shout out to Coach Star. Someone said it one time in the chat and they commented like sometimes there's diamonds in the rough within the draft. And I 100% agree. Sometimes you can find a guy who, and we see this all the time in the NBA. You'll be watching other teams play or the Knicks playing against another team, and you're like, wow, who's this guy off the bench? Kind of like how we have with Deuce McBride. And this guy will be really, really good. And he's an addition to the team. He could come off the bench, he could score, he can do this, do that. And I think that that's what, if the Knicks can find a player like that in the draft, man, it'll really help this team out tremendously. So I'm curious to see what this team do. I'm also curious to see what certain players do as far as developing their game. Deuce McBride. I would like to see him get stronger with the ball handling. Do the Knicks still need to get a backup point guard to Jalen Brunson? Yes. But there's going to be times where Deuce is, a lot of times he plays well when he plays with Jalen Brunson, right? But if he can work on his ball handling, because I think with Deuce, when he has to bring the ball up, he's so focused on not just bringing the ball up, but making sure he's facilitating, and that takes away from his offense. But when he doesn't have to bring the ball up and he can catch and shoot, he's a lot more successful. So we'll see what happens with this Liberty team and the Knicks team as well. Liberty, Sky, Fever are the three I follow. Yeah, Chicago Sky, I really like them. They're exciting to watch. Like I actually like watching Chicago Sky games. I'm not even from Chicago, but I love watching the duo between Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso. I like Marine Mabry. I've liked her since last season. She's cold too. She could go off at any point in a game. Um, yeah, I like this. I like this guy. I like what they've been doing, and just the excitement. Just I don't know. They got this grittiness. They haven't been winning as many games this season so far, but they're in good hands. Teresa Witherspoon, a New York Liberty alumni, she's coaching them. She's tough, so they're gonna be okay. But yeah, exactly. The only reason I would like to see the Sky do okay is because of Teaspoon. Yeah. Teaspoon, she gonna get them, she gonna get them right. They're gonna become a better team. Salute to Paula Bonner. She said there are a lot more better players in the league than Caitlin Clark. Yeah, I agree. I agree 1,000%. There's so many women who got drafted into this class, not even just the draft class, but women who've been in this league before Caitlin Clark was even talked about, that are excellent players. Excellent, excellent players. I was watching when the Liberty were playing Atlanta, and Atlanta now has Tina Charles. And Tina Charles, she still got it. Tina Charles is still nice. And I love Tina Charles when she was playing on this New York Liberty team. It's unfortunate that they had to get rid of Tina Charles. It's at one point we had Tina Charles and then we had Natasha Howard, who's great on the block. But in hindsight, I understand why the Liberty did what they did, because they're like, we moving towards a championship. So, sometimes you got to get rid of certain players and do what you have to do. And it was unfortunate. But I used to love Tina Charles when she played on the Liberty. But let me tell you something. She was the only one really doing anything for Atlanta. Every time she's lethal with her mid-range shot, off the backboard to the basket. Jonquel Jones, definitely, I think watching her play against Jonquel Jones, you see where Jonquel's younger, so she was able to get the best or the betterment of playing against Tina Charles. But Tina Charles still has it. And it's nice to see her on a team and playing. And, I miss her playing in New York. It's too unfortunate we couldn't have like a Tina Charles as a backup to Jonquel Jones. And this, respectfully to Sabali, she's not her sister. Satu, who plays on the Dallas Wings, she's the better Sabali sister. The Sabali we have, she's okay. I think she has great team spirit, but I don't like her as a backup to Jonquel Jones. APAB said, love Mitch, but the injuries and hoping for him to make a free throw is a bit much. Yeah. And that's another thing, but that's the point I'm trying to get at also with Jericho Sims. Like, and I remember I was like fussing about this about Mitchell Robinson. I was like, I don't understand why Mitch, like, why isn't he working with someone in the summer to work on your free throws? You know what I mean? Work on a simple off the backboard, a little floater, something simple besides a catch and shoot dunk. That's what I was looking for from Mitchell Robinson to improve on and add to his game, right? I think when you're playing any professional sport, you got to like be able to level up. And I think Mitch does a great job coming into like this past season. Mitch was like fully in shape. He wasn't grabbing at his shorts trying to catch his breath. He was full shape, ripped, was in that gym. But throughout his tenure with the Knicks, you didn't really see any improvement or any additions to his game on an offensive end. And I know not everyone's not going to be out there. I'm not expecting Mitch to give you 10 points, 8 points, but just like where he can confidently get you a basket when you need it. So this way the Knicks have an option for a player who's down, standing right by the basket and deep in the paint. And a lot of times we don't have that. And that's one of my gripes also with Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'm hoping that he works on confidently building that confidence with that floater shot. Because sometimes I didn't feel like when he was putting it up, he was as confident. But yeah, Mitch, it's just too many injuries. Too many injuries. Mitch is always injured. He seems to get injured at the wrong time. And seriously, Mitch's injuries literally happen at the worst times. Like he's like hot on the streak, and then here we go. Something happens, ankle, and he don't have good balance. And I always like I said it, and I remember Diva Lots was laughing, but I was like, I think Mitch maybe he would benefit from like yoga. Joe Johnson has a yoga studio. Like there's other guys in the league. You'd be surprised. Just hit them up. They'll work with you. No, I don't know. I'm like, I don't. Some players, I don't know if it's just you just there to just do your job during your time and then you go. But Sims is not it. No, and this is why I said the Knicks need to part ways with Jericho Sims. I don't see why we're holding on to him. Maybe I think he would benefit from development, and this Knicks team don't have time to really focus on developing players. I honestly think that Deuce was like the last player who they was like, this is it. We don't really have time to be trying to develop guys. And I think with this Knicks team, the front office is trying to push this Knicks team into a championship direction, and we've seen that. And they need guys who are a bit more developed and ready, who can go out there and be ready for when Tibbs calls on you. We already know Tibbs has an issue with trust. He don't trust anybody. Paula said, be watching since the WNBA started. I had season tickets for a while. Yeah, I'm actually looking into getting a package for the Liberty to get some tickets. They have like a 10-game package deal. And yeah, I've been watching since the league started as well. Like we are diehard New York Liberty WNBA fans. Like we're not just jumping on the bandwagon because of Caitlin Clark is in the league. Like, no. Jay Boogie Salute Jay Boogie. He says, shout out to the Knicks family. It's time. Things will come to life tomorrow. The draft is here. Moves are about to be made. Shout out to our host. It's hotter than the movie. Do the right thing. Salute to Jay Boogie. You right, Jay Boogie. I will be watching. I will be watching the draft. I'm not sure if Legion of Knicks or if Sim and Tony are going to be doing a show live tomorrow, or if Steph is going to go on live. I'm not sure, but I'm sure there's going to be, or Morning Brew. I don't know if anyone's going to be doing a live show for the draft and covering it. But we're going to be, Diva Locks and I are going to be for sure watching to see what the Knicks do. Who do they grab? Like, we're really watching to see throughout this summer what the Knicks, what moves they make, and how does it pan out and fold out before summer's over. So we'll be reporting and covering a little bit of what happens when it happens with the Knicks. Yeah, Tina Charles is that girl. Tina Charles, I really wish they could have kept her on the Liberty or even tried to bring her in. But the problem is, it's probably the salary, because I know Tina Charles is like a top paid player in the league. And, you know, Sabali, Naira Sabali, I know she doesn't get paid nowhere near as much as Tina Charles. So it's probably cheaper to keep her than to keep Tina Charles. So, you know, it is what it is. I wish the Liberty Scott squad was still in the Garden. Yeah, that's what AP's been saying. It sucks because Dolan sold them. So now the Nets husband and wife own the Liberty. But I have to say, I will say, it doesn't take away from me now wanting to see the Liberty play in Madison Square Garden. But I have to say the Liberty have done an excellent job with marketing the team. An excellent job on like all social platforms of social media, like just the entertainment, having like Ellie, like it's very entertaining, having the celebrity row, plenty of celebrities there. Like Jadakiss was just at the game the other day. Top-notch comedians, like I'm talking about A-list celebrities. These ain't like people you like, who's that? The same celebrities you see at the Knicks games, it's the same celebrities that you're seeing at the Liberty game. But just like what they're doing there, I'm really, really impressed. And I know, I don't know if it was you, AP, but someone was saying how, and I've seen someone else comment this, how they were watching a game, which one of the games I just noticed was in Atlanta. So when you watch the replay of any Atlanta Dream games, it's not so much the quality, but the lighting is trash. So it's like, why is the lighting like that? But when you watch a replay of like a Las Vegas Aces game or a New York Liberty game, it's like watching an NBA game. Bright lights, real clear. It's in 4K. It's just, I don't know what it is. Like certain markets, which is weird because Atlanta to me would be like that's not a small market, you know? So I don't know if what that's about. But same thing when you watch a Minnesota game. It's bright, it's clear, you could see the clarity of a game. I don't know what that's about, but shout out to the New York Liberty. Shout out to, whoever's behind their marketing team, and whoever was in charge of that scheduling, get it together. I'm going to keep calling you out because you made a mistake. You really need to work on that free throw. What's up with centers and free throws? Yeah, I don't know. It's something about the big guys. A lot of them can't shoot good free throws. But, then you see a lot of them, they think they're a point guard or they want to shoot threes. So, I mean, if you can't shoot a free shot, I don't think you should be shooting threes like that or willy-nilly. But, yeah, and that was another thing too with Mitchell Robinson, is that he can't knock down free throws like that, not on a consistent basis. Whereas Isaiah Hartenstein, he has a higher free throw percentage of free throws made, which is nice to see. So, there's definitely going to be some big news coming out now that the NBA is completely over, championship is done, draft is tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of, I won't be surprised, we get some shocks, some surprises. I'm excited. There's already some talks I've heard with players. JJ Redick is now the coach of the Lakers. PG, they're talking about he may not, Clippers may not re-sign him. It's talks already. It's already starting to brew. The bubbles already starting to appear in the pot, and the water's starting to boil. So it's going to be a very interesting off season for the NBA, and a very interesting off season for the Knicks. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. I do not think the Knicks need to acquire an all-star. I don't think that that's what they need. I just think that they need to get one or two pieces in place to make it a proper fit for this team, and they'll be okay. They'll be okay. But that's it for me today. For our summer hours, we will be on Tuesdays, and we haven't gone on the last few Saturdays, but I will be back on. I don't even think I'm gonna be able to come on this Saturday because I'm supposed to go to the beach. But if not, Diva Locks may come on. If not, then we'll go on Sunday. So that'll be like our backup day if we don't go on Saturday. But we'll be on 2 days a week instead of 3 days a week. But we'll be still recapping in the Liberty, and then we'll be bringing you any New York Knicks news as far as any trades, any additions, and what happens with them in the off season, right? Because it's still exciting news to talk about and what to look forward to for the season. So I'm excited. I also shout out to Steph, aka Queen. She sent out like 2 really good articles in the Twitter chat, so I do want to check that out. And yeah, you guys, shout out to the chat. Corey Lee, one half of the 718 Boys with the Z at the end. They come on every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. with Boulevard. Shout out to Boulevard as well. Wonder Woman, salute to you. AP, salute to you. Paula Bonner, salute to you. Haven't seen you here before, but shout out to you for joining today. Check us out and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. J Boogie, always showing love. Salute to you, J Boogie. And to you, those of you who are not in the chat and watching, and also to the replay gang. Shout out to you guys for checking us out and showing love and support. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and we'll see you probably most likely on Sunday because we're gonna actually the Liberty play again on Sunday. So we'll do a pregame before Sunday's game, next Sunday's game, and we'll recap the Commissioner's Cup. Follow us on social platforms. We're on Facebook, and we're on TikTok, and we're on X, aka Twitter. So until next time, everybody, have a great evening. Stay cool, stay safe. Let's go Knicks, and let's go New York Liberty.